Well, it's been a couple of weeks, so it's time for another edition of Don't Read the Comments, where I open up the virtual mailbag and see what people have been writing in, what you fine folks have been writing into Kicking the Seat via the various platforms on which this podcast appears. Kickseat.com, which is the homepage, the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel, which you're watching right now, Facebook, the Kicking the Seat Facebook fan page. So, now this is not going to be your ordinary Don't Read the Comments because we're going to address something that happened on the YouTube channel a week ago today, in fact, if you're watching this when it goes live. If you're not watching it when it goes live, there'll be a link down in the description to the second episode of Obi-Watch, which was the weekly live stream in which myself and Earth's Mightiest Critics reviewed the Disney Plus Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series. Now that has since been terminated. The Disney Plus series is not over, but the analysis show is. And we'll dig into a little bit more of that in a bit. But before we get to that, we're going to read some other comments that have come in the last couple of weeks. So without further ado, let's go. First off, we have Afzal Sheikh writing in regarding IndieSeen, Henry Fool at 25 with Thomas J. Ryan, a wonderful interview I did with Sijiwa Ekanayaka a few months ago to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the movie Henry Fool, which if you haven't seen, definitely go check it out. Afzal says, "Thank you for this. I finally saw Henry Fool in lockdown after hearing the name around for years. I remember Faye Grimm from BFI LFF back in 2007, but never got around to it back then. Surely Thomas J. Ryan gives the best debut movie performance of all time and comes across as such a nice, humble man as well." Well, no disagreement there. I don't know about the best debut, but he's definitely up there. I was blown away by that, and I would say if you haven't seen Owner Tukel's film from 2021 called "Scenes from an Empty Church," Thomas J. Ryan is one of the co-leads in that, and it is a dramatically different performance, equally powerful from what he did in Henry Fool. So yeah, definitely check that out, and thank you for writing in. Oh, I should mention that yes, Thomas J. Ryan, as you saw in the interview, what little I know of him, kind of off camera, it's what you see on camera. He's fantastic, and hoping to have him back on the show again soon. Next up, we have John Leggett talking about the Son of Hammerland Curse of the Werewolf episode I did with Aaron Christensen of Horror 101 with Dr. AC. Love all your Hammer reviews, guys. Keep up the great work. We shall. And in fact, coming up later this month, we're going to have a double feature. Yes, it's another one of those months where we have two Hammer films to discuss and review, and I cannot wait. And here we go. Petty, a longtime fan of the channel, our Argentinian Kicking the Seat super fan, as it were, wrote in to say, "Hi, Ian. I hope you weren't seriously mad at your friends at the Critics Roundtable. If this is not the case, at least a passing anger, I send you a big greeting." What's Petty referring to, you might ask? Well, frankly, this.
I'm guessing we have comments, huh, Ian?
Yeah, we do.
Oh. Yeah, unless he's going to spike our volleyballs down again.
Ian's never let me on the show again.
Well, no, I mean, honestly, this is the last episode of Obi-Watch Live. I appreciate you guys' perspective, but it's clear that, there's not going to be a productive conversation here. I'm trying to talk about this show as art, and you guys are talking about it as content. And I can't have this conversation. So,
no,
I mean, that's fine. It's just, two different conversations to have here. So
we're still talking about art. We're talking about how they set together scenes. We're talking about how they convey moments. We're talking about direction. Elliot's there. I'm there. Mike's there.
Sure, but I'm talking about on a fundamental kind of storytelling level, carrying on the legacy of Star Wars. And you guys are telling me, oh, you're nitpicking and this and that and that. I want to have a serious conversation here, but I'm getting shut down at every turn. So it's not productive. It's not helpful. It's not even fun. I mean, I was having fun at the beginning of this episode, but that's fine. You guys can have the conversation on your own shows. That's fine. But this is it. So we made it 2 episodes of the live stream, and I appreciate that. All right. Not my finest hour. I've never rage quit anything. In fact, I've never actually walked out of a movie screening of a film that I've actually detested. That's not exactly the same thing we're talking about here, but generally I have a high tolerance for conflict, for things that make me uncomfortable. But last week I couldn't quite get through all of the Obi-Watch stream. We usually go for an hour or more, sometimes way more. But yeah, about the 45-minute mark, I had realized, as you probably deduced from that clip, that I felt that the conversation was no longer productive because I was talking about the show in one way, and a number of the panel were talking and thinking about it in a different way. And I was also tired and overworked and overstressed and all that good stuff. Never a good combination for getting into a discussion, as adults say to their kids. It's not an argument; it's a discussion. Well, that escalated into, I think, a full-blown argument, and unfortunately. I'm not proud of it, but you will be hopefully happy to know that I've worked out. We've all come together and set our kumbayas kind of offline. Earth's Mightiest Critics is mostly intact. I'll say that much. But yeah, we are going to continue live stream about future TV shows and blockbuster movies and all that, but just not Obi-Wan Kenobi. And one thing that was pointed out to me, I think we saw that a little bit on the live stream, but also I talked to David Fowley afterwards. He pointed out that we had a bevy of comments in the live stream. Some frequent watchers and some new folks. We didn't read all of any of them. We just frankly didn't get to it because we got so caught up in the weeds of discussing the finer and less than finer points of Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 3 specifically, that yeah, we just didn't get to it. So I figured, hey, I've got a series called Don't Read the Comments, in which I read the comments. So I can do whatever I want. I'm like Marty McFly at the end of Back to the Future. He's like, how am I going to get back to the future? Well, I'm in a time machine. Well, we're going to take that time machine, the YouTube comments version of it, and we're going to read through the comments from Obi-Watch episode 2, which covers Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 3. A little confusing because the first episode covered the first 2 episodes of the TV show. It's nice when Disney Plus does this because we get a double header. It also sucks when you're trying to label the shows because, like, well, what do I do with that? Anyhow, we're going to go and read some of those comments, and I will talk a little bit about, as we go along, some of the thoughts and feelings I had about Obi-Wan and some of the things I've come to realize in the week since. So yeah, let's get to it. So this was before the stream had even begun. Sejiwa is he's a master at jumping into live streams before the show starts and kind of pre-planting some great opinions, some analysis. It always gives us something to open with, or in the case of this particular episode, not get to it all. So that's why we're doing it here. But Sejiwa says episode 3 was pretty good. Nice little battle between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, but we are not seeing anything too new in the show, not like on Mando. He also says, so most likely they just made a show for fans of the Obi-Wan character and Ewan McG. I think we should just say, instead of Ewan McGregor, just call him Ewan McG from now on. But that might be confusing with the director of Charlie's Angels, and we certainly wouldn't want that. Yeah, I agree. I think this was, well, I think it was ostensibly made for fans of the Obi-Wan character, but as we're seeing, and as many Star Wars fans have called out, not all of them certainly, as evidenced by the conversation, some folks are not exactly seeing the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi that they grew to know and love, and that's a whole other issue entirely. Sejiwa also says, Star Wars universe getting kind of boring, not in a good way. Vader needs to go hang out on a snow planet, meditate, and chill out. Definitely agree on the second point, but as this is the early days of Darth Vader, only 10 years into his career as the grand enforcer of Emperor Palpatine across the galaxy, that's not going to happen, at least not for a long, long while. But yeah, I agree. The Star Wars universe is getting kind of boring. As we saw with the Book of Boba Fett, they had to bring in 2 episodes of The Mandalorian kind of undercover to spice up the viewership and the fan enthusiasm. And it looks like the same thing is happening with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Not that Mando has showed up, but that'd be kind of nice. It would break canon, but as we have seen with the writers of this show, they don't care about what has come before. Oh man, says 7x2416, really arguing the antics of a 9-year-old? Yes, correction, the character of Leia in the show Obi-Wan Kenobi. By the way, spoilers, if you aren't watching it. She's 10. She's 10 years old. But yeah, I am arguing the antics of a 10-year-old girl, a character, because I don't find her to be believable. I find her to be, I'm just going to use the I word, insufferable. And yeah, there are different ways to write children. We've seen, different treatments of them across films, and the kind of know-it-all, bossy, scared when she needs to be, brave when she needs to be. There's like an inconsistency of the character, an inability to react to the situation around her in a way that makes sense to other, human beings who have been in tough situations, and around kids, I would argue. Yeah, it just kind of makes it all a little bit confusing. But that's par for the course of the show. By the way, I should stress these are all my opinions and not necessarily the opinions of Earth's Mightiest Critics. So please, take it up with them or something. I don't even know what that means. Sujio says again, the Leia character is good in this show, a smart 10-year-old. On the other hand, there are 10-year-olds who are fighting the Israeli occupation of Palestine, so it is possible for 10-year-olds to deal with tough situations. I am not arguing that at all. And yeah, she is a smart 10-year-old, but I get the feeling that she is a character who is written as a smart 10-year-old rather than a 10-year-old that I could believe running into, in a desperate situation. Yes, there are parallels, real world parallels to, the conflicts we're seeing in this show. And I don't believe that, as you mentioned, Sujio, the people who are fighting those actual wars are going around sassing people, leading grown men around, and like ordering other folks, 40-year-old adults, like, no, you're supposed to rescue me. You go back and you go down that tunnel and go do something else. I know you were told by the Jedi Master to get me to safety, but I'm going to go ahead now. I'll be fine. You go back and rescue Obi-Wan. What? 7X2416 writes in again, retconning stories is unoriginal and takes away from the series. Yes. Shijira writes back to the show, feels like the Empire spends a lot of resources on Vader's hobby projects. I guess Vader is trying to find his babies. I will direct my Dinner with Andre Star Wars episode. I would love to see that, by the way. HBO Late Night about to release Sex in the Star Wars Universe for the new take on Star Wars. I'd watch it. When Jedis Date Robots, next on Star Wars Late Night on HBO. Vader could not sense that shooter. Yep, well, we're getting close. Sujio, you're starting to come around. Yeah, there was a scene where Tarla, I believe her name is, an Empire spy, or a rebel spy within the Empire. She takes the high ground and surprises Darth Vader and a bunch of stormtroopers by shooting at them and lighting things on fire. But Sujio, I would say, if you have trouble with Darth Vader sensing this spy during a conflict, just wait till you watch episode 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Underground Railroad for Jedis is run by people from a South Asian background. Don't say we never did anything to help the Jedis. I never said that. Kumail, and in episode 3, Indira Varma. Yes, both fine actors from what I can tell. I really didn't like Kumail Nanjiani's character from the previous episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi because I thought that he didn't make sense. He was a bit too wacky. I think his turn towards being, going from basically a thief and a con man to a Jedi wannabe with a heart of gold was a contrivance non-pareil. 7X2416 says, easy fix, Obi, Jedi mind wipes their meeting for her safety. So yes, this is talking about my contention that it's unbelievable that in A New Hope, when we first see Princess Leia, she sends that message to Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, you're my only hope and you served with my father during the Clone Wars, with no mention of this, little adventure that happened about 9-10 years earlier. And I was saying that, on the show, if you are kidnapped, sent through all these harrowing adventures, and someone comes for you to rescue you, and you spend a good deal amount of time with them, getting to know their name and their face, it's unrealistic that 9 to 10 years later, someone's going to say, hey, I need you to get a message to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And you're not going to say, wait, that Obi-Wan Kenobi? No, the contention was, well, maybe she forgot, or there are traumatic experiences. You don't remember everything as a kid. Well, okay, sure. But this, 7X says, Obi-Wan can Jedi mind wipe the meeting for safety. I don't know that that is something that has been introduced into the Star Wars canon, the ability for Jedi to long-term remove memories from people. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but on the other hand, am I to believe that for the next 9 years after this adventure is over, because we know from A New Hope that Leia survives this whole kidnapping ordeal and planet hopping, that no one, and I mean no one, in the next 9 years is going to bring up what happened? It's, again, it's possible. It's just not believable. Stua says the Leia and Obi-Wan relationship is being retconned, made up for the new series in Star Wars 1/4/1977. She probably had never met him. Star Wars is better than Marvel movies. Imperial leaders, Vader's got a ton of wacky powers and a temper. We don't really want him running important things. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, the retconning, I believe, is rampant in this show. Joby Harold, the head writer of Obi-Wan, has done a number of interviews have come out in this, in the intervening week. None of them very flattering for the case of these people knowing Star Wars lore or consistency or canon at all. There's a Vanity Fair article. I think there's an interview from the Wrap. Go read those. Or if you want to believe in the sanctity of Star Wars, don't. I would say Star Wars is still better than Marvel movies. Maybe. I would say the latter offering of Marvel movies, certainly, but they're about on an even keel. And as I mentioned, I took a moratorium on superhero films after Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and Star Wars is just about on the bubble. It might be over for me after Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, but we'll talk about a solution to that in just a bit. And Imperial leaders, yeah, Vader is off his leash in this respect, and it's hard for me to reconcile Palpatine, who we haven't seen in this series yet. We've seen a lot of Vader, but no Palpatine. I do wonder what's going on with that dynamic, and is Palpatine really okay with Vader running around and snapping necks and wiping out lots of town folks and leading all these kind of personal crusades when he's trying to establish the Imperial Senate is still a thing in this galaxy. So I can imagine that these little terrorist acts are not exactly smiled upon. But, again, we haven't seen the end of this show. Other leaders, give him some side project like finding Obi-Wan or something. Don't let him deal with the budget or development projects, etc. Yeah, another good point. By the way, yeah, Death Star 1 is still being produced here. I just thought of this. At the end of Revenge of the Sith, Darth Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin are looking at the skeleton of Death Star 1. It took 20 years to finish Death Star 1, and yet it took like 3 years, I guess, to finish Death Star 2. Maybe they had all the plans on backup and they had all the materials and contractors ready, but wow. This series is close to Mando as far as filmmaking and acting goes. I disagree. I think Mandalorian is a much stronger show. And very good so far. Not great, but overall pretty good Star Wars entertainment. I vehemently disagree, and I'll get to why in just a minute. 7x2416, he clearly let him go as he saw Obi-Wan had help. This is in reference to when Darth Vader captures Obi-Wan Kenobi and levitates him above a fiery fuel bonfire, and then slams him down and drags him through it. Then he gets sniped at by the rebel spy. The flames go out, the flames reignite. Darth Vader can't walk around the flames or extinguish the flames with the Force like he had done literally half a minute earlier. And then a giant clunky droid walks out, picks up Obi-Wan, and then basically walks away as Darth Vader and other stormtroopers just watch all this happening through the fire. So Darth Vader is like, oh, wait, this guy that I've been killing people and searching planets for and tearing up things with the Force. Oh, no, he's got help now. I guess that ruins my plans. Sajua says, with the fire scene, he was feeling bad for Obi-Wan. Seeing the robot rescue him, he saw himself in the robot a bit. Again, does not match at all with what we know about Darth Vader and his motives. He could have very easily thought about Obi-Wan when he was in the back to tank and maybe had some sympathy for him. But no, I do not buy the idea of him dragging him through fire 1 minute and the next minute saying, oh, maybe I should have dragged him through the fire. He being a Darth Vader, of course, he could have put the fire out, floated over, done some Super Jedi thing. He was feeling bad for his old friend. Yes, and absolutely not. Vader is not able to kill Obi-Wan yet. He has conflicted feelings. He says he wants to kill Obi-Wan, but he can't do it yet. There needs to be evidence of that conflict in this show. We see evidence of Darth Vader's conflicts later on in Star Wars, but that was built up over time and established with other characters and with Darth Vader and his interactions with the Emperor. In this show, all we know is that Anakin Skywalker was burnt to a crisp, given this new life in a super cyborg body, and now has a single-minded mission to assassinate Obi-Wan Kenobi and everyone like him. So yeah, this does not hold water, at least not yet. 7X says, lol, I don't think a perfect Star Wars arc exists ever. Well, I would say, 7X, you remind me of a lot of Star Wars fans that I've encountered saying, this is a series for children. Why do people take it so seriously? May have been conceived as family entertainment, but over the last 40 plus years, there have been, graphic novels, novels, spin-off series, prequel and sequel films. There are dedicated fans who take this material seriously and who believe in the continuity and believe in the lore. And yeah, there have been great Star Wars arcs, including in the TV show Rebels, which, yeah, I've been kind of teasing like, well, what's my solution to this Star Wars thing? This week, by pure coincidence, because we have Disney Plus and my son was watching Spidey and His Amazing Friends, and it popped up like Rebels, you might also like, or something. Clicked on it. I was like, well, I've heard a lot about this show. Let me watch the pilot. Flash forward 4 days later, it is now, we're about to start episode 5 today. It's become our dinner time viewing. This household is a Rebels household now. And I will say that the blueprint for doing a great Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series is within Rebels. You've got, the main character, Ezra, who's like a young Jedi. He learns that he's force sensitive, possibly a Jedi in the making, kind of a space, homeless space kid who comes across a group of, kind of rebel space pirates. It's almost like Firefly meets Star Wars. And you've got an older character on the show who had survived Order 66, who is a Jedi, and he is quote unquote broken, as Obi-Wan Kenobi is supposed to be in this show, but it's a broken in a way that feels more realistic. If you're in the middle of a space war, you can be psychologically damaged, but you can't just sit around and do nothing. You can't just let your powers go to waste. I mean, you can, but if it's completely inconsistent with your character, and if you're supposed to be headlining a TV series, that does not work beyond episode 1, as I think we've seen up to, including episode 4, which I've watched, and I feel vindicated in my feelings about Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. I said I wasn't going to talk about this show, but I guess I kind of am. So I'll try and wrap this up because we are talking about comments still, I guess. But yeah, watch Rebels for an example of how Obi-Wan Kenobi should have, by all rights, played out. You could literally have transposed the first couple episodes of that, changed the characters' names, and had a fantastic adventure series that feels like Star Wars. That gets the spirit of it right, gets the adventure right, gets the pathos right. All these people are still reeling from the effects of Order 66. I will say that, again, breaking continuity, there is a message that Obi-Wan Kenobi sends out to the Jedi all across the galaxy. Shortly after, I'm assuming this is shortly after Vader's defeated. He's basically a heartfelt message saying, run. The Empire is after you, but you've got to believe in the Force. You've got to stand up and fight, so we can bring light back to the galaxy. This is in continuity. Rebels is in continuity with Obi-Wan Kenobi. It happens a few years later, but if this message was sent out before Obi-Wan Kenobi, the TV series, began, I can't reconcile that hurt but hopeful, stern Obi-Wan Kenobi sending out this message saying, don't give up hope, you've got to fight and believe in the Force and each other, with this guy who goes off to the desert to sulk. In episode 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi didn't go back off to Tatooine to sulk. He went off to Tatooine to watch over and eventually train Luke Skywalker. But this show's take on it is he's broken. He's so broken he can barely tie his shoes. And I'm sorry, that is not Obi-Wan Kenobi. Elliot, being the voice of reason is a breach in the multiverse. Yes, this is where things got really kind of heated during the show. And you can go back and watch that full live stream if you'd like. I think they throw a curve and kill Leia. Again, 7X, continuity is out the window in this show. So yeah, I would kind of welcome that. And in episode 4, it gets kind of close, and I'm not going to say that I wasn't smiling a lot during a particular scene. And finally, we have Jeremy Cook saying, I agree with Ian. The cheesy cliche dialogue is just boring and uninteresting, just contributes to the shallow nature, has nothing to do with being able to come up with a quip on the spot. Yeah, there was a scene, if you were an incident, I guess, towards the end of the live stream. We were talking about the terrible dialogue in the show, and Elliot kind of challenged all of us to come up with a better line or better lines of dialogue on the spot. And I thought it was a bit of a ridiculous challenge, considering that we are not actually a writer's room, and that's not how writers' rooms work. There's no one standing over you with a stopwatch saying, okay, we need something cool and intimidating for this character to say to another character. You've got 15 seconds. I'm sorry, no. But yeah, those are the comments. And this has been Don't Read the Comments, I think the 11th, 12th, 500th edition. Yeah, I appreciate everybody sticking around and kind of listening to my ranting, getting the Star Wars stuff off my chest. I promise, quote unquote promise, because I'm not going to cover Obi-Wan Kenobi anymore on this channel. But if I am, invited on a live stream or another show to talk about it, I will talk about it. That's not me asking. It's just me a way of myself covering. I was on Mark Krawczyk's show, The Spoiler Room, last night, and we do a little pre-show Patreon, half-hour talk for his patrons, and we ended up talking about this. I didn't shy away from it, but it kind of took up the whole half hour. So go subscribe to Mark's Patreon channel to get, or his Patreon, not his Patreon channel, of the Spoiler Room and Special Mark Productions if you want to hear that whole thing. But yeah, I'm kind of done talking about Kenobi. I am feeling pretty good about my stances, my positions that I've been calling out since episode 1 and people have, rightly in a lot of respects told me it's only the first episode. It's only the first 2 episodes. Give it a chance. We're at episode 4 and they've got a huge ship to turn around in, 2 episodes left. Episode 4 was 30 minutes long, which I consider to be a mercy, but considering that there's still a lot of story to tell, a lot of loose ends to tie up in this show, it doesn't bode well unless episodes 5 and 6 are 3 hours long. But that's it. I'm done ranting. I swear, for real. I mean it now. So yeah, thank you for watching this episode of Don't Read the Comments. If you have something you'd like to say, all you have to do is leave a comment on the Kicking the Seat website, which is kickseat.com, on the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel, which you're watching right now or listening to, or the Kicking the Seat Facebook fan page. I will read everything. I should put a disclaimer. I think that somehow Facebook might have eaten 1 or 2 of the comments, and this is not me trying to cover it. I went and I vaguely recall during the live stream seeing something, I think a comment from Jeremy saying he agreed with Sajiwa. I could have that wrong, but it was late and there are other things going on. I didn't see that when I went back to capture all the comments. So I hope I got everything. If I didn't, and if you left a comment that you think that I've missed, please leave a comment and I will talk about it on the next episode. In fact, I got a brand new comment after I'd collected the material for this video, which I'll have to get to next time. So that always seems to happen somehow. But anyway, thank you for watching the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel or listening to the audio podcast. Really appreciate it. I appreciate these little get-together sessions because we get to have some context to the feedback that you leave on the various sites. So I'm eternally grateful. Thanks so much. Keep watching. If you like this content, like and subscribe. Follow all of Earth's Mightiest Critics. Their information is going to be down below. And yeah, until next time, whenever that is, whatever that is, thanks and take care.